Welcome to my presentation today. So today we're going to look at agriculture from two. To be specific, we're doing this topic which is known as crop husbandry practices, but we are on planting. So you are with me, your presenter, Andrew Cobby. So when talk of planting, planting is putting seeds or planting material into the grounds to grow. So it is a cultural practice which follows land preparation. So after land preparation, after preparing the land, uh, next thing is to plant. You put the seeds into the planting stations in order for the seeds to germinate and grow. So that's planting. So before planting is done, the seedbed must be prepared to appropriate tilth depending on the size of the seeds which are to be used. So you prepare the land depending on the seeds which are going to be planted. You know, there are other seeds, there are large seeds, there are medium seeds, and there are very small seeds. So the land must also be prepared according to the type of seeds, the size of the seeds which are to be planted. So time of planting is very important or is very essential for optimal growth, optimal crop yields, especially when growing annual crops such as maize and groundnuts. So when you're growing maize and also groundnuts, you need to prepare, you need to plant in time so that you should have high yields. So the most appropriate time for planting is at the onset of rain. So early planting, it means you have to plant when the rains have started. That's at the beginning of rainfall. So that's the onset of rains. So this is just a picture of how planting is done. So sometimes you can plant manually, at the picture there. See, those people are planting manually, and sometimes you can use a machine. There is a machine known as a planter, which is also used for planting. So let's now look at benefits of planting. Timely planting or early planting. So these are some of the benefits. So the first one is it ensures that crop makes maximum use of season lanes. So if you plant early, the crop will fully use um, uh, the season lanes, unlike if you plant late. Then we've got the crop is able to escape serious attacks by pests such as aphids and maize stalk borer. Then we've got the crop is able to effectively compete with the weeds. So if you plant early, it also helps for the plant to effectively compete with the weeds, because the crops will be established very fast, thereby to be able, they will be able to compete with the weeds. Then we've got the crop benefits from nitrogen flush, and also it leads to early harvesting, enabling farmers to take advantages of high market price. So if you plant early, it means you also harvest early. Therefore, the farmer will be able to sell the crops at a higher price, unlike if you plant late. So this is the effects of delayed planting on maize yields. So time for planting. On that table, we've got time for planting, then we've got appropriate yield, then we've got maize sharing percentage. So when you plant early, when plant early, which is dry planting, appropriate yields per hectare is 1,940 kgs per hectare. Then maize sharing percentage is 62%. 2%. That's when you plant early or dry planting. Then 4 days after rains, we've got appropriate yield per hectare is 1,530 kgs per hectare. That is 54%. That's maize sharing percentage. Then 7 days after the rains, that's delay in planting. You can see that the yields are up to 1,150 kgs per hectare, which is 49 percentage. That's maize sharing percentage. Then let's go to selection of planting materials. So a planting material from a strong, healthy, and high-yielding parent is more likely to produce an equally strong, healthy, and high-yielding new plant, in contrast to one taken from a small, diseased, and low-yielding parent. So what it means is we have to select the planting materials from healthy parents so that the incoming plants should also be healthy and high yielding plants. So young plants from healthy planting materials resemble their parents in appearance as well as in genetic makeup. So if you select healthy plants, so those healthy plants also resemble their parents. I mean the incoming plants also resemble their parents. So that's why it is advisable to select healthy planting materials. So the young parents will resemble their parents in appearance as well as genetic makeup, such as the ability to resist disease and withstand unfavorable conditions. So the ability to ripe early, the ability to yield well, the quality of the produce. Thus, the selection of planting materials should be carefully carried out. So if you select healthy parents, high yielding parents, uh, the incoming plants will also resemble their parents, their genetic makeup, and or other things. So it is very important to select the planting materials which are healthy. So let's look at qualities of good seeds for planting. So the first one is suitability to ecological conditions. So the selected planting materials should be well adapted for the environment conditions of the area, such as altitude, rainfall, soil type. So what it means is you have to select the planting materials which suit the area which you are to plant those seeds. So for example, maize variety which is Sidico 403, Sidico 407, then we've got Sidico 513, then we've got ZM 309 and decab which is 8021 are early maturing and can do well in areas with short rainfall. So these are some of the examples of the seeds which can do well in areas with short rainfall. Then we've got certified seeds are those that have been tested and carefully selected based on the following. So we also have to take note that you have to use the seeds which are certified. So the certified seeds are satisfied based on the following qualities. So the first one is high quality and potential for high yields. So for the seed to be certified, it means it has got potential for high yields as well as high quality. So the seeds are selected from the parent crop which are high yielding and of high quality. Then disease resistance. So for the seeds to be satisfied, it means it has got potential for disease resistance. So healthy, strong, and disease resistant plant variety are highly favored for satisfaction. To be satisfied. For example, maize variety, which is ZM 309 is resistant to maize streak disease. Then the seeds can also be certified based on purity. So planting materials should be pure and not mixed with contaminants such as weeds, seeds of different varieties or of types. Then, for seed to be certified, they also consider the germination percentage. So select seeds with high germination percentage. Okay. Then we have got free from physical damage also. So the certified seeds are also free from physical damage. So the selected seeds should be free from physical damage or should not have should not be broken. So that's about physical damage. So satisfied seeds is also one of the qualities of the seeds which are to be planted. Then let's go to planting maize. So when talk of planting maize, maize can be planted either manually or mechanically by use of seeds planters. So manual planting is common with small scale farmers or smallholders. So row planting is the most appropriate method of planting maize. So when talk of row planting, it means you plant the maize in rows. So the recommended spacing for maize is 90 to 100 centimeters. So what it means is from one ridge to another ridge, it has to be 90 to 100 centimeters. And from one planting station to another planting station, it has to be 25 to 30 centimeters depending on some factors. So that spacing, the spacing which I've just stated, it depends on the following factors. So I've got a number of seeds per planting station. So what it means is if you are to plant many seeds per planting station, it means the spacing, it has to be not so close to each other. It has to be far from each other. Unlike if you are planting small amounts of seeds per planting station. So number of seeds per hole, it also affects the spacing. Then we have got the cultivated variety. So cultivated variety or the variety uh, to be grown also affect the spacing. Then we have got soil fertility. So soil fertility also affect the spacing. If the soil is fertile, it means you can plant close to each other because the soil is fertile, it is able to supply nutrients to the plants. But if the soil is not fertile, it means the space, you cannot plant close to each other because there will be competition of the nutrients. Then we have got rainfall amount of an area. If the area receives a lot of rainfall, it means you can plant close to each other because there will be enough moisture. Therefore, no competition. But if the area receives a little amount of rainfall, it means the spacing should not be close to each other because there will be competition of the moisture. Then you also have intended use of the crops. Normally, if you are planting for I mean, for business, for commercial, it means the spacing should not be close to each other. Because if the spacing is close to each other, it means there will be competition of nutrients as well as moisture. Therefore, there will be poor yields. So, for commercial purpose, you have to be planting far away from each other. Unlike if the crops you are planting, they're just for consumption. So let's go to marking out planting stations. So when planting maize manually, we have to use marked planting string to measure out the distance between the planting stations. So when you are planting manually, there is a string which is marked. So that string, it is used to measure the distance from one planting station to another planting station. So the use of the string ensure that the rows are straight and appropriate spacing is adhered to. So So for example, they mark out, mark out the planting stations as shown in the figure below. So this is just a picture for you to appreciate. This is the farmer uh, is making the planting stations. So these planting stations are made using the string which has been marked. So these are the planting stations we're talking about. So the recommended seed date for maize is between 22 to 30 kgs per hectare. So it can be 22 to 30 kgs per hectare. That is 1 to 2 seeds per hole. So however, it may vary depending on the spacing. Okay, so the spacing may affect that 22 to 30 kgs per hectare. So if the spacing is close to each other, it means you plant more kgs than if the spacing is far away from each other. Then also have number of seeds per hole. So if you are planting 2 seeds per hole, it means you are going to plant more kgs per hectare than if you are planting 1 seed per hole. Then also have the intended use of the crop will also affect uh, uh, the kgs to be planted per hectare. Because if you are planting for commercial, for sale, it means the spacing will be far away from each other. Therefore, you cannot plant more seeds per hectare, unlike if you are just planting for consumption. Then also have moisture content will also affect the kgs to be planted per hectare, because if the land or if the soil has got a lot of moisture, it means you can plant close to each other because there will not be much competition of the moisture, unlike if the land is not having enough moisture. So the number of seeds to be planted in a given area of land can be calculated as follows. So number of seeds to be planted, I've got this formula, which is size of the land which you are to plant the seeds times number of seeds per hole divided by the spacing of the crop. So let's look at this example. So given that maize is planted 2 seeds per hole at a spacing of 100 times 30, 100 by 30 centimeters in a plot of land uh, uh, measuring 4 by 30 meters. Then calculate the number of seeds required. So you can see that we have been given number of seeds per planting station, which is 2. Then we have got size of the land, which is 40 by 30 meters. Then we have got spacing. So the spacing is 100 by 30 centimeters. So first of all, we can see that uh, number of seeds is 2. Then we've got the spacing. The spacing is in centimeters, and the size of the land is in meters. So first of all, we have to change the meters into centimeters. So to change the meters into centimeters, we multiply by 100. We multiply this meters by 100. So it will be 40. That 40 multiplied by 100, which is 4,000. Then you multiply 30 by 100, which is 3,000. So instead of 40 by 30 meters, it will now be 4,000 by 3,000 centimeters. So this is the size of the land. Then you multiply by the number of seeds per planting station, which is 2. Then you divide by the spacing, which is 100 centimeters by 30 centimeters. So after calculations, you find that the maize to be planted, it will be 800 maize seeds to be planted. So that's how we calculate the number of seeds to be planted in a given area. So the seeds should be placed in the soil at the right depth. This is to ensure high degree of germination of the seeds. So when planting, you have to place the seeds at the right depth so that uh, we should have high degree of seeds germination. So the depth of planting is influenced by the following. So the depth of the planting seeds is influenced by the following factors. So the first one is the size of the seeds. So if the seeds, the larger the seeds, the larger the seed, the deeper it is to be planted. Unlike the seeds are very small, you don't have to plant very deep. Then we also have soil type. So seeds are planted deep in light soils than in heavy soils. So light soils you plant deep, and heavy soils you plant not so deep. Because if you plant deep in heavy soils, germination will be affected, unlike in light soils. Then we have got soil moisture content. So seeds are planted deep in dry soils than in moist soils. So if the soil has got enough moisture, it means you can plant the seeds uh, deeper as compared to if the soil is not having enough moisture. So let's go to planting depth. So the recommended depth of planting maize is 2.5 to 10 centimeters. So that's the recommended 2.5 to 10 centimeters. So let's look at germination percentage. So after planting, some seeds may fail to germinate due to some factors such as deep placement, inadequate moisture, or attack by pests and diseases. So some seeds will germinate while other seeds will not germinate after planting. So it may be due to placement of the seeds. If you press deep in the soil, you find that some will not germinate. Also, it may be due to not enough moisture in the soil. That will also affect the germination percent, and also due to attack by pests as well as diseases. So the number of seeds that germinate can be expressed as percentage. This percentage is known as germination percentage. So germination percentage can be calculated as follows. So germination percentage, it is number of germinated seeds. The number of seeds which have germinated out of all the seeds which have been planted. Divided by number of seeds planted multiplied by 100. In such a way, it means you are finding the germination percentage. So that's all I had in this video. So if there is any question, that's our WhatsApp number and that's our email. Thank you so much for being there. See you in my next video.